Hello, good afternoon. This is Kelly from Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat. It is Wednesday, the 29th. We are nearing the end of January already, and this will be up early for my Patreon subscribers. And if you're on Spotify Premium, it will also be on there. Excuse me. I'm drinking Java Mama banana bread, which is my favorite. Well, one of my favorites. I have so many. Oh, so good. It was celebrating, it's celebrating Elvis's birthday, which was on January 8th. And this is the last of what I have. This is my last cup of it. It is so good. Anyway, I will leave the link in the show notes if you are interested in checking out Java Mama. It is green and clean, better for your gut, and air roasted. So you get the taste of the whole bean, not the roaster. Also available in K-Cups for Keurig or, the machines that do the single cup. So, oh, boy, I have a story for you today. This is a sad one. I've not heard of this one. So the sources that I'm using are medinagazette.com. That's medina-gazette.com. Medium.com, which is the Ohio Victims' Rights page. And An Unexpected Killer, which is a series on Peacock. Season 2, Episode 10. That is a very good show. Highly recommended if you have Peacock. This is, like I said, very, very sad. I'm sure if you've, many out there who have heard of this case, especially if you're from this area, but I have not. It takes place in Wadsworth, Ohio, and I hope I'm saying that right. Wadsworth, and it's outside Akron, and it's a very safe neighborhood. Looks very, very nice from the photos that I saw. So this story is about a woman who was born in Akron. Her name was Margaret Douglas. Douglas is not her maiden name. I never found out what it was. But she was born in Akron in 1919. She was very independent and very opinionated. She married Donald Douglas after World War II. They were child-free by choice and always together. They just always did things together. They always had a good time. They complimented each other. And after they were married, they moved into the house where she spent the rest of her life in. They loved traveling and the Cleveland Indians. She knew all the kids in the town and was very friendly. I mean, she knew everybody in the town. Like I said, it's a small town. This is a place where you don't lock your doors, which is something she did not do. Her niece was the one who helped her. She had a nephew, and her nephew's wife, which is, her niece, would help her with shopping. She lived to be 98, and she would have lived longer if somebody didn't do what they did. And this, like I said, this is horribly sad. Okay. April 9th, 2018, a call came into 911. It was from a family member. I think it may have been either her niece or nephew. I think it may have been her nephew. That they had not seen her in a while. I don't know what is wrong with my throat. Now, she lived alone in the house. And like I said, she never locked her doors. So they were concerned that maybe she had fallen and something happened. Maybe she had a heart attack. Maybe she fell. When you get old and you live by yourself, it's very hard to do that, which I think it's nice to go into assisted living, especially at that age, especially. But like I said, everybody in the town knew her. They always helped out. There was a guy next door who I will get into who always came over and helped her out, asking her if she needed anything. So she did fine on her own. It's just the upkeep of a house, and all that. I'm so sorry. I got to get a drink of water. My throat was not bothering me until I started talking. So they got in the house. They went over to the house. Of course, it was unlocked. And, they never found her. So they started contacting the hospitals, and the police were trying to find her. She was basically a missing case because they had no idea where she was. So police searched her home that night, and they were trying to see if maybe any of her belongings were missing, and her nephew came over to help. Him and his wife came over to help, and they went through everything. They searched. They said, I guess, her wallet wasn't found. So that was the one thing that was missing. When they searched one of the closets, her nephew found her shoe, but then when he went to move it, it felt cold, and he realized that she was wearing the shoe. And that was her body in the closet, and it had been under a pile of clothes. Somebody had stuffed her in this closet. Her clothes were all in disarray, and I mean the ones that she was wearing. Her bra had been pulled up. Her nightgown was unsnapped. She appeared to have been there for a few days. She actually had been murdered on April 6th. So it was 3 days. It appeared that she had been strangled. She had, from looking at her neck and face. Now, they did find a glove outside, but that was the only evidence they found. They didn't find anything else. So they took that in for evidence. Now, everyone was upset about her murder and started locking their doors. They wanted police to solve this because people in the town were really scared, and they should be, after finding out who was responsible for this. Because who would have done this to a sweet 98-year-old woman? Investigators interviewed family members and friends. They also took fingerprints because there were people in the house. Her family, there were people in the house, and they wanted to make sure fingerprints that were normally in the house were not strangers. What I'm trying to say. So she always carried cash with her because they were looking at her finances to see if there was any suspicious activity, and there was nothing. She had a former neighbor. His name was David. He would come and check on her. Like I said earlier, there's a neighbor here who would come and check on her, take out her garbage, and they tried to contact this guy, but he was not returning their phone calls. So that was a red flag. They went around and talked to neighbors, and they saw a guy watching her house. He was David. His last name was Clinkenbeard. And he said he was looking to see if anyone suspicious was there. And he was wondering what they found out. And he also knew about Margaret when she was found. Knew about how she was when she was found. I don't know the detail of what he said, but clothes she wore. How did he know this? So they asked other neighbors, and one of them said they saw him driving through the neighborhood, but not stopping. He did tell the neighbors that he was in the house, so his fingerprints would already be inside. He was even on TV talking to reporters about Margaret's investigation, and they said, this is not usually how people, they don't contact or cooperate with the press, and that's what he was doing. Now, he was the one suspect because of all this going on and what he was doing. He seemed to be inserting himself into the investigation, hanging around, being nosy. So that's usually what people do when they've committed a murder. They bring him in to question him. I'm not saying everybody does that. A lot of times that happens. They bring him in to question him 2 days after her murder, and he went over on Sunday, he said, but did not see her. So he thought she was upstairs getting dressed, and he didn't want to go up there. So he went out and got another neighbor to come over, and the neighbor went upstairs to her bedroom and did not see her. So he told the investigator all this stuff about her being a pretty woman when she was younger. He described her figure. And this really raised some red flags because they're like, why is he saying all this? He said that when they couldn't find her, he called her nephew. Now her nephew's name is Howard. And they asked to look at his phone. He did not have his phone on him, which they thought was very strange. Who wouldn't take the phone with them? Anywhere nowadays, especially. But they took his DNA to match it to the inside of the glove that they found, and he had no problem with this. He said, yeah, take my DNA. Well, the DNA did not match, but they were still concerned about this guy. He was still on their radar. Now, the autopsy report showed head and face injuries and neck, but the autopsy report showed no sexual assault. Even how they found her, she was not frail. She was a very strong woman. And so she was able to fight back. Her clothes were torn. Not removed from her, but they were torn. And they also found bodily fluids. But they were not hers. The day before they found her body, there was a carjacking in the area, which wasn't normal for that neighborhood. And the guy who had his carjacked, his name was Paul. He said he saw a young guy limping, like a young, 19-year-old type, maybe 20, limping down the street. So he stopped and offered him some help. Well, he got out of the car, and this young guy stole the car from him after he got out. And that was the carjacking. Well, they found the car. It was in the same area, like a block away. There was surveillance on a building right outside of that area or next to that area, so they watched it, and they saw this young guy. He was not limping at all. They showed him taking the car, of course, but the guy was not limping. So Paul lied. Then they thought Paul was the one who was involved in Margaret's murder, putting himself there basically as an explanation in case he is suspected. He could say, well, I was in the area because I picked this guy up that was limping. Is basically what they were thinking. So they went to interview him. He confessed why he lied. He met a guy on an app, and they were supposed to meet up, which they did, and they were getting it on in the car, but the guy ended up taking the car from him. So the guy stole the car. He didn't want to tell him what he did, with another guy, and he was embarrassed. He heard about Margaret, but he didn't know her. And he wasn't even connected to this neighborhood at all. But who was the guy that carjacked him? That's what they wanted to know. He told them the app where he met the guy, but he deleted everything off of his phone to hide it because he was embarrassed. But so they said they had no way of finding out. And I think this is strange because they can find anything on your phone, no matter if you delete it or not. So because he deleted everything, they said they couldn't find anything on this guy and they didn't know who he was. Okay, April 13th, they got some calls about two young guys hanging out at night in the neighborhood, and there was a break-in at a construction site. Somebody had broken in a trailer. Well, when they broke in, they dropped their cell phone. So they got the cell phone, they were able to unlock it, and the owner was a guy named Zach. And they went to interview him, found him sleeping in his car at the high school there. And when he came in, he had shorts on so they could see scratches all over his legs. He said he did not do anything to Margaret. He was out with his friend Gavin. And Gavin was the one who was trying to break into the trailer when they were at the trailer. So they brought Gavin in. He was 17 years old. They brought him in with his mother and talked about how he broke into this trailer. And he admitted to all of the crimes he had done. He said, yeah, he broke into the trailer. He breaks into cars too. He doesn't really find anything, but it's just a rush. He just likes doing it for, the fun of it. So when they started asking him about this carjacking, he kind of changed his demeanor and he started putting his face in his hands, and he asked his mom to leave the room. So he admitted to the carjacking after his mom left the room, but he says there was no sexual part of it he didn't carjack somebody to have sex with him. So he was the one who I'm guessing carjacked. They didn't say, but it sounds to me like he was the one who carjacked this other guy named Paul. Because he said it was karma. He wanted to teach Paul a lesson about picking up a stranger. If you're going to pick up a stranger you met online, you need robbed. That's basically what he's saying. So, yeah, so he admitted to that. They asked him about Margaret Douglas, and he denied murdering her. They told him they had his DNA on the glove. So they were able to get his phone with his mother's permission. They asked his mom, so they got his phone. They found Google searches, and these searches were done about Margaret's investigation. Then they found photos and videos of Margaret in her home sleeping. These were in a file. The file was called, the title of the file was Dark. The word dark, and the password was the word murder. It was dated for early morning, April 6th, 2018. They took him in after finding this evidence, and back to the police station they went. He said he did not know what he was going to do that night or that morning, but he went up to try the door, and it was unlocked. So he went in. This trigger warning on this one. It was unlocked, so he just went in, and he was recording her as he went in the house as she was sleeping. She woke up he said it was about 10, 15 minutes. She woke up, he attacked her, and of course the police saw all of this on the video. He attacked her, had her down on the floor, strangling her. After he did this, he took photos and recordings of her and sexual acts as she was deceased, and he did this for 2 hours. He also used her hand to pleasure himself. That about made me want to puke. This whole thing just made me want to throw up. He put her in the 1x5 foot by 2x5 foot closet. Since it was getting close to his mother getting up for work in the morning, he had to hurry up, so he just stuck her in that closet and threw all the clothes on her. And he just lived around the corner from her house. And he would often see Margaret outside. He would talk to her about mowing her lawn and doing things to her or for her. But this was a way, the investigators said this was a way of him to get to know her better and get to know how, kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you try to get to know about the person's life, you try to find things out, basically. And so he did talk to Margaret sometimes, and when he saw her in the neighborhood, he would see her out on her porch. They arrested him. They searched his bedroom, and they found Margaret's wallet and a journal that he kept about murdering someone. It was about murdering and serial killers that he liked, like Ted Bundy, he wrote about, plus more. And they also found gloves that were like the one they found in Margaret's yard. He said he fantasized about raping and killing people for months and wanted to know what killing someone felt like. He was charged as an adult, which he should have been. They found him guilty, sentenced to life in prison without parole. No remorse, they said. And it was like he just didn't understand what he had done, or he just didn't care. This kid was a serial killer in the making. If they would not have gotten him, who knows how many more people he would have murdered and done. Who knows what he would have done. But now, here's the problem. Margaret's family was promised that Gavin Ramsey would not go free. But that promise was broken when a law was passed which mandates parole hearings for people like Gavin Ramsey. Because he was a juvenile, he deserved a break. This is what it said when I am like, are you kidding me? They're saying juveniles are impulsive, which is true. But Gavin wasn't. He planned this out. He knew what he was doing. He violated her body for 2 hours. He's very sadistic. And no matter how old you are, this is how serial killers start. Or serial rapists. This is how they start. So, there is a petition to sign at change.org, but I could not find it. I don't know if it's still up. But I have information here. Now, people you can contact are the Ohio House Speaker Robert Cupp, C-U-P-P, and Ohio Senate President Matt Huffman. Now, these two, I could not find. I went to the link, but the sites are not working. So I don't think the sites are up anymore. But I was able to go to the Ohio Governor, Mike DeWine, at governor.ohio.gov. That is the site to go to, and it comes up, and there is a form right there to fill out, to write what you want, and they've got an example here. I'm writing to you to request to fix Senate Bill 257 that mandates frequent and unnecessary parole changes for violent felons, including rapists and murderers, at the expense of victims and their families. This goes against common sense and victim rights. So that is an example of what you can write to them. Why would they pass a law like that? What is going on? I don't understand it. You sentence somebody and then they go and do this. So this poor family, and Margaret did not deserve this at all. She was 98, still a strong woman, and she would have probably lived, of course, I believe, probably over 100 years old. This is a very sad, very, very sad case. Very sad. I have a hard time with this one. I just wanted to talk about it, and it just floored me when I found out about this law that they're trying to do or pass, and they may have passed it by now. I don't know. But it needs to be fixed. Even if it is passed, it needs to be fixed. So, or no, it did pass it. What am I saying? Oh my God. I'm so upset. I can't, it just upsets me. So, I think I read that he's 20. Well, wait a minute. No. He was 17 when this happened. So, and it was in 2018. So yeah, he's in his early 20s. I just wanted to talk about this and get it out there, though, because it's a very sad case. And if anybody finds this petition on change.org, please let me know, because I would like to sign the petition myself. I did write to the governor at this link. So, gosh, it's never too late. It's never too late to make a change in this. It really isn't. So that is this horrible, horrible story. It will drop Friday, the 31st. Sorry, I had to get a drink of water. Oh, my throat. So I am thinking of what to do for the third bonus episode for Patreon and Spotify Premium. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I know I've only got a couple days, a few days. So, excuse me. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. I'm looking. There is one I kind of have in mind. I think it's one in Texas, if I can remember. I'm not sure if that's the one I'm thinking of or not. But I started watching this. I did a episode a while ago on Kenrex McElroy. I thought it was McElroy because that's what it looks like, but they pronounce it McElroy. Skidmore, Missouri. There's a series on AMC Plus, and I always forget I got AMC Plus, and I started watching that. It's actually really good. It has interviews with the people back when it happened. Part of it kind of makes me mad, though, because there's people sticking up for him, and he's not one that I would ever stick up for. So, but I've been watching that. Of course, I've been watching An Unexpected Killer. There's a new one on Peacock that I started watching, and it's really good. A Plan to Kill, I think is the name of it. It's brand new. That's a pretty good one. I just started watching a couple episodes in that one. I'm trying to think of what else. Me and my husband watched the whole series of Landman, and that's on Paramount Plus, and that is a good one. That's a good show. And I love the latest episode of Dexter Original Sin. Oh my gosh. If anybody out there is watching that, I am in shock. So I can't wait for this week's episode on Paramount Plus. It's on Friday, so I got 2 more days. So, so glad I had this week off of work because I had more time. I got my rest. I'm, of course, happier. Less stress means I am happier. So I want everybody to have a wonderful rest of the week, rest of the month, and February is coming up on us. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I got my email in the show notes. So, trying to think if there's anything else that I've been listening to. I did find a new podcast called Mantra. It's fairly new, and it is very, very good. It explains how to relieve stress from your life. Every episode, she gives you a mantra to go by and apply it to your day-to-day life, and tells all about it and explains it in the episode. It's actually really good. I heard it advertised on another one that I listened to, and Mantra is the name of it. Highly recommended. I think it's probably 3 or 4 episodes now. And I started doing, this is totally unrelated to podcasts, but I started doing this finally, and I always wanted to. I am doing wall Pilates. I'm only on day 4, but it starts at 5 minutes. I'm now up to 6 minutes, but it starts at 5 minutes. And it just gradually gets higher and higher. And I'm going to tell you what, even 5 minutes, I can feel it. I can feel it. But I really like it. It's like 3 months, and I think it costs like $25 for 3 months. So I went ahead and did it because I've got to do something to get in shape. I think and so far I've noticed it's really helped my back. I forgot the name of the app. That's the only thing. It's yoga. The name of the app is called Yoga, and then they ask you all these questions: your age, your lifestyle, your weight, your height, all that. And then it tells you what it recommends. It could be chair yoga, regular yoga. Mine was wall Pilates is what they recommended for me. So, but I really like it. I don't know if anyone's ever tried that before, but I just thought I would just kind of throw that in there at what I'm doing. Trying to just kind of help my back and everything, especially before I go back to work. So that's all for today. Have a wonderful rest of January, and I will see you next time.